Last night, you woke up for no clear reason. Not from a loud noise, not from a dream, just suddenly awake, and then you heard it. A bird not singing, not chirping like it does in the morning. Just one short sound, then silence, then again a pause, then another, not random. Not rhythmic, just enough to make you listen. At first you tried to ignore it. But the longer you stayed awake, the harder it became to dismiss. Because something about it didn't feel normal. Here's what most people don't realize. When a bird makes isolated, irregular sounds at night, it's not the sound itself that stays with you. It's the space between the sounds, and this is where it gets interesting. The first thing you notice is the interruption. You were asleep, or at least close to it. Your mind was slowing down, drifting. And then something small pulls you out of that state, one sound. Just enough to wake your awareness. Your brain is extremely sensitive during that transition between sleep and wakefulness. Even the smallest disruption feels amplified. That single sound becomes more important than it really is. Not because it's loud, but because it arrived at the exact moment your guard was down. But that's not the real reason it stays with you. The second thing is the irregular timing. If the bird made constant noise, your brain would adjust. It would label it as background, but it doesn't. The sound comes, then nothing. Then again, after just enough time for you to relax. And that unpredictability keeps your mind engaged. Scientifically, irregular patterns demand more attention than predictable ones. Your brain can't settle, it keeps waiting for the next sound. And that waiting is what keeps you awake. Here's what most people don't realize. Unpredictability feels more intentional than repetition. The third thing is the direction. Even in the dark, you feel like you know exactly where it's coming from. Outside your window, somewhere close, not distant, not vague. That sense of proximity changes everything. Humans are wired to react more strongly to nearby sounds, especially when visibility is low. The bird might just be adjusting its position, navigating, or reacting to something in its environment. But your brain interprets closeness as importance, as relevance. And this is where it gets unsettling. Because now it doesn't feel like just a sound anymore. The fourth thing is the silence that follows. After each call, there's nothing. No wind, no other birds, just quiet. That silence isn't empty. It's filled with anticipation. Your brain expects something to follow. It prepares for it, and when nothing comes, the tension builds. This is a natural response. Your mind tries to complete patterns. And when the pattern is incomplete, it keeps searching. But that's not the real reason it feels so intense. The fifth thing is your awareness. At some point, you stop trying to sleep. You listen fully. Every small sound becomes noticeable. Your breathing. The faint movement of air, the subtle creak of something shifting. And then that bird again. That moment changes your role. You're no longer passive. You're engaged, and once you're engaged, everything feels more significant. This is where it gets interesting, because now you're not just hearing it. You're waiting for it. The sixth thing is how your body reacts. You might not feel afraid, but your body tells a different story. Your muscles tighten slightly, your breathing becomes quieter, slower. You don't move as much. That's your nervous system responding to uncertainty. It's subtle, but it's there. The longer the pattern continues, the more your body stays in that state. Not panic, not fear, just heightened awareness. Here's what most people don't realize. Your body reacts before your thoughts catch up. The seventh thing is imagination. In the dark, your brain has less visual information. So it fills in the gaps. You start picturing the bird, where it is, what it's doing. Why it's there. Each sound adds detail to that mental image. And because the sound is irregular, the image keeps changing. This isn't irrational. It's how your brain processes uncertainty. It creates possibilities when it lacks clarity. And that's when it starts to feel like more than it is. The eighth thing is repetition over time. Maybe it doesn't just happen once. Maybe it happens again the next night, or the night after that, around the same time. Similar sounds, similar pauses, and now your brain starts connecting those moments. It builds a pattern. Even if the pattern isn't exact, it feels consistent. And consistency feels intentional. It feels directed. But that's not the most important part. The ninth thing is memory. The next day you think about it, not constantly, but it comes back, randomly. You question it, was it really that close? Was the timing that strain? Why did it wake you up so easily? Your brain tries to make sense of it. But there's no clear answer, and that's why it lingers. Unresolved experiences stay longer in your mind than explained ones. And this is where it gets deeper, because now it's not just about that night. It's about how you experience the next one. You go to sleep, but part of you is listening. Waiting, not expecting something dramatic, just aware. And that awareness changes everything, but that's not the final realization. The final thing is that it was never really about the bird making those sounds. It was about what happens when something small interrupts your sense of control. When you can't predict when it will happen, when you can't fully explain why it's happening. Your brain doesn't ignore it, it holds on to it, it replays it, it gives it weight. Not because it's dangerous, but because it doesn't fit. And when something doesn't fit, your mind tries to force meaning into it. Even if there isn't any, that's why it stays with you. Because in those quiet, irregular moments, something shifted. Not outside your window, but inside your awareness, you became more alert. More attentive, more aware of the silence and what breaks it. So the next time you wake up to something small, a single sound out of place, followed by nothing, don't dismiss it too quickly. Not because it means something is out there, but because it shows how your mind reacts when the world stops being predictable. And once you notice that, you don't stop noticing it. If something like this has ever happened to you, where a single sound at night kept you awake longer than it should have, share it. Because the more you pay attention to these moments, the more you realize it's not the sound that matters. It's the silence around it.